Hi, it's Artificial Fly Tiger, and we're taking a look at Diva. We're digging into presets, and then we're trying to work out how they've been created. Hopefully you can learn something and improve your music. I'm always going to learn something because the parameters inside of Diva are very complicated, and they all interlink, and there's always something new to discover, which is what makes Diva such a fascinating synth. So I've selected this ARP sound, which is kind of like a countdown type thing, I call it. You know, when the quiz goes, quickly, you've got to solve the puzzle before you run out of time type thing. It's called the ARP Stardust, and we'll take this apart and see how it's created. I'll try and explain some of the settings as I copy them over, and hopefully you'll learn something and I'll learn something. So, first of all, they're using a digital oscillator. So let's take ours to a digital oscillator and take a look at these settings. So we've got the WAV style. Let's see what this one is. It's a triangle, and this one, they've selected this one, which is a multi-saw. Let's take another look at some of these other settings. So that's theirs at the moment. This is ours. Long way to go before we get our sound close to theirs. So let's take a look at some of these settings. The octave is pretty much the same. There's a little tweak on the harmonics. So this basically adds additional harmonics on top of the WAV file that you selected. So there's a little bit of that happening. There's also a bend as it comes into that sound, and then you can enable these, and you can adjust the settings using LFO2. So they dialed in a bit of LFO2 and a lot of LFO2 on this one. Let's take a look at LFO2's setup. So LFO2 for them is on a 1 second. So we'll change that to 1 second. The rate is quite low in the differences between the rate as it goes through. Nothing on that one. The actual rate itself is quite low. Turn that one down. And it's a sine wave rather than a triangle. Let's see what our sounds like. Still quite a long way to get to that sound, which is quite blinky and plonky. Let's just check. There's a bit of a detune happening here. And there's a ring sound, so there's quite a lot of noise coming through the oscillator. And this is the mix between these two waves. So if you turn this, you're going to get more of this sound, and if it's over on this side, it's going to have more of this sound going on. So it's actually kind of over here somewhere. It's got a modification. We'll come back to that in a moment. So every time there's a little M here, there's an M here, it's being changed by modification, but we'll dig that in a second. We'll go check that out in a minute, and we'll move over to the filter sound. So I think the oscillators are fairly close. They've got high quality. That's our basic oscillator sound coming through here, and then it goes into the next section, which is going to be our pre-filter. They've just got HPF post with a little boost here. The other one is changing this filter to UBI and lowering the cutoff. It's the first thing to see. So that's going to affect how much oscillator sound comes through, and it's sitting about here. Res is how much the cutoff will kick in, creating a sharper sound as this resonance is higher. Now the drivers here, we've got to turn that on just for a second, and then these are all the things that are going to be affecting our filter. So first of all, we've got envelope 2. Now envelope 2 is over here, so we'll change these to analog so we can match their settings. So analog and analog, and we need to shape these into the same as theirs. So analog, attack is low, a little bit of decay, no sustain here, bit of release. We won't bother with these settings. We'll just try and get this sound quickly. And this has got a low sustain and a little bit of release, probably not that low. So now we're getting a pluck sound. If we don't have the release or decay, if we turn sustain down and just have a little release, we've got that kind of plucky sound. So let's get our ARP going, so at least we match up a little bit. We'll come back to some of these settings, to tweak them a little bit further. They have a bit of LFO2, which is this one over here, and is set to a sine wave. I think we set that for the LFO2 settings here, also driving this bit a little bit. So the main difference between our sound and theirs is the ARP, which is going to make a lot of difference to how all the different sounds are happening. So let's get our ARP in place. We'll enable the ARP. They're doing 16, so that's 1 every 16th of a bar. They're choosing played mode, so whatever you play in your chord, it will follow what the last one played. Bouncing up to 3 octaves. So let's see what this sound. So we're getting that boogie bouncing up and down, which is similar to theirs, but there goes much higher pitched. So let's have a look at pitch, because I can hear ours is a lot lower, theirs is a lot higher. So there's a couple places you can change the pitch for these various instruments. You can do it in the oscillators here, changing the octave. You have a transpose setting here, which makes a difference as well to overall everything. So theirs is on 0. So now we're getting that. We're getting a lot closer to their sound. So there's a few other changes. There's a restart every 16th. Don't think I'll make too. So after every 60 notes, it's going to go back in and play it again. Have they got anything here? No. They've got 12 voices. We'll quickly touch on voices. I don't think it's going to make too much difference to this sound. But basically what that means is each time you've got 12 voices to play, and it will launch up to 12 different voices. And the other settings, not probably going to make too much difference to trying to recreate the sound. So we got our ARP in place. Theirs is a lot lower in volume. So straight away our output is a lot lower. So sorry, theirs is higher and ours needs to be lowered. So let's lower ours. We've got a kind of what I call a chirpy sound going on, which is probably some of the shaping in the filter that we'll come back to. But let's get the effects in, because I think they're also making a difference to how the overall sound sounds. So we'll enable delay and plate reverb. Let's get in here and do a plate and a delay. Bit of feedback on this one. Well, nothing changed too much. Decay's a bit high. There's a higher kind of sound coming through, so let's tweak our filter a little bit further. We're quite close to the overall sound though. It's got more of an acidic, what I call acidy sound, which is usually resolution, or resonance rather. That's what I mean when you get that kind of very chirpy sound. And I'm not sure at this point what is making theirs. But they have got these modifications, and I said I'd come back to that in a second. So let's actually tweak this mix a little bit. See, as that kicks in, that's going to make a bit of a sound. So the modifications, let's go into their modification tab and check ours. If we adjust the noise and the dual VCO mix, and we put in modulate wheel, and we dial this in a little bit, we get a little M here saying that this has been affected by this. So now we're getting this movement between these two oscillators, bringing in some of that noise from here. Now the other two sections with M's are this one, which is our resonance, and that is affected by the filter, so also the modulator wheel. So as we dial a bit of that in, we get an M here. So that's probably getting a bit of that chirpy sound coming through, and then there's the pitch whale. That's a whale that's not in pitch. The pitch wheel is set for this one. It's set for FM, and when we dial that in, we'll get some movement on the VCO. So it's very close now to the sound. There's probably a few little adjustments to, probably around potentially on the cutoff points. Just seeing if there's any other settings, no ones of note. This sounds a little bit higher in pitch. I'm just trying to see if I can work out what that is quickly. But we've pretty much got the sound of the countdown, as you need to discover that quiz quickly, the pulse. That's what I call that sound. Might be something in the effects. Potentially a bit higher feedback. Maybe we can get that delay is getting that noise sound. Something is a lot higher pitch somewhere still. I'm just trying to work out what it might be. It's probably in the oscillators. Let's take a look again at the oscillators. Maybe put. Oh, they've got this one. I've noticed is up a little. I wonder if that will make a sound difference. That's an interesting sound. I'm not sure what that one is. It's a new one on me. If you know what it is, tell me in the comments. I can learn something then. That'll be useful. Let's see. Something just a little bit higher pitch, and I think if we're pretty close. So at the end, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time looking at this preset. I did. I always learn something. If you know stuff, tell me. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to create more of these Diva videos so that you can learn how to use Diva and improve your music. I'll see you next time. And remember, this is the countdown.